I am quitting Guilty Gear Strive. Ah, April Fools! I fucking got you! Kinda. Listen, this video obviously came out at a pretty awkward time. I wanted to make an April 1st video that was not this, but then things happened. As you can tell, I've moved, and I kind of just needed a video to come out this week, and something did happen that actually prompted this video, and may unironically force me to quit Strive off of not my own volition. I hope you do enjoy this video. It is still entertaining and fun, in my opinion. I really like it, but just know that there is a genuine chance that if the problems in this video are not fixed, I'm gonna have to find something else to play. If you want to see if these things are fixed, I am currently streaming on my Twitch over at twitch.tv/Gekkosquirrel_live. You'll be able to see if the problems that I have been facing are still very much apparent, or if the servers were just being really shitty last week. I do hope that all of the things I talk about in this video do eventually get fixed, so let's start with it. Without further ado, let's talk about Strive's issues. Ever since Guilty Gear Strive has been released, it's been criticized relentlessly by people who wanted the game to be something else. It's not a real Guilty Gear game, the characters are too easy, Millie doesn't reach out through the screen and hit me with her 6K in real life. I hear these complaints and many more about my favorite fighting game nearly every day at this point. Some of them I can see the arguments for, and others, I think some people are just saying shit and they really need to go and touch some grass. But there is one complaint about Guilty Gear Strive, one thing above everything else that I know for a fact is not a subjective difference or a taste and opinion, but the biggest flaw that the game has, and recently it has become the #1 reason why so many players are quitting the game. Guilty Gear Strive's user experience is awful. For those of you who don't know what the term user experience means, I'll give you a quick rundown of what I'm on about. User experience refers to how a product feels to use. It's generally a term used in software development and has been co-opted by game designers to explain concepts. User experience in online video games can refer to things like how easy it is for players to get into matches, how easy the menus are to navigate, how stable the online functionality of the game is, how easy it is to grasp complex systems of the game, and how the experience of getting into the game actually feels. User experience is something I've talked about tangentially in other videos before. However, I wanted to really dive deep into the user experience of Guilty Gear Strive and talk about the biggest problems facing the game right now. And trust me, from my perspective, all of the game's problems are somehow linked to the user experience in some way. I will not be bringing up the character and mechanic balance of the game in this video. You gotta remember that I really like Strive. I built my channel basically entirely around it after the game launched, and it's the fighting game that I've easily gotten the best at over the course of my fighting game career. That's not saying much though. So without further ado, let's start with the first thing that you see when booting up the game. Guilty Gear Strive has a lot of problems with the user experience since the game came out, some of which have been fixed, but more often than not the community has simply learned how to deal with these issues and begun to ignore them en masse. Let's start with the first thing that you see when booting up the game. Now, for the people who don't play this game every day, you might be seeing this and going, what the actual fuck? Why do I have to wait a minute before I get to play the game? But for those of us who have been around for a while, we know that this is not only something that we have to deal with, but this is actually the improved version of what used to happen. Back when Strive was first released, the game would make you wait several minutes in order to even get into the main menu and play the game if your device was connected to the internet. If your device was offline, you would get into the game instantly, but you would have to reboot the game if you wanted to play online with friends. This method is certainly a way of getting players online. However, the only other game genre I've seen use a similar method to this would be an MMO, in which you have to literally wait in a queue in order to get into your designated server and play online. However, once you are in the server, you can literally do whatever you want, and this doesn't happen as soon as you boot up the game. The worst bit about this is that if you want to go online on Strive to play against other players, you have to do another process in which you seemingly connect to the server again. You wait for the boxes to disappear, and then you can jump in the lobbies. But because you have to do it here, and with literally any mode that has an online mode, why do I have to do it when the game starts? It doesn't make any sense, and I can't think of any other fighting game that does it this way, including other Arxis titles released before and after Guilty Gear Strive. And while it has gotten better than it was when the game first came out, it's still obviously ridiculous that you have to deal with this at all. I really think Arxis needs to rework how the players connect to the server to get online. Just having the whole setup happen when you decide to go onto an online feature would at least mean that for people who just want to play arcade mode, training mode, or watch the story, they can actually get into the game as soon as they boot it up. Honestly, I think the whole infrastructure needs to be reworked because it shouldn't have taken this long for me to get into a server for a fighting game, but hey ho, it is what it is. But once you get into the servers, finding a match is easy enough, right? Oh, it says in this bit of the script that I need to laugh. Give me a sec. Ha. Guilty Gear Strive's version of matchmaking is definitely a matchmaking system in fighting games released in the year 2021. Guilty Gear Strive has a system known as the Tower, in which you are placed in a floor between 1 and 10. You can go to any floor above your own number, but no floors below your number. If you're in floor 10 and win enough, you get a chance to get into Celestial, which is the place for the uber powerful to constantly duke it out without worrying about losing their rank. This entire system is there to replace skill-based matchmaking, and on the one hand, I think it's pretty good, as most Arxis fighting game rank modes end up being dead content after a few weeks. I mean, just look at DNF Duel, no one's grinding ranked on that game. But as someone who consistently gets into Celestial with zero problems, I have some issues with the systems at higher level. They are very personal though, and I will say that the tower system isn't actually a bad form of UX. In fact, I think it's pretty good. The people who don't want to fight the crazy strong players are able to hang out on their floors, while those seeking a challenge can go to floor 10 and fight the players there. And once they are on floor 10, and they win enough, they can actually fight to get their chance into Celestial. It creates natural divides between player bases, where floor 10 is still filled with really good players, but it's not actually the best of the best, because they're all in Celestial, so you'll never truly get dunked on until you get there. At Celestial, I personally believe that it falls apart, but it works really well for the majority of players, so I can't complain too much. There was a very annoying UX problem where the game would interrupt players by telling them that they had a rating update and force one of the players to move to a different floor. However, now the rating update doesn't actually force the player to move, and they are able to finish the set that they were playing, which is a great change. However, there is something that I really hate about finding a match, and it's that sometimes the game just decides that it really doesn't want to work. Guilty Gear Strive has a very fun habit of randomly deciding that, in fact, you know what? No, you don't get to fight that person. In fact, you don't get to fight anyone for several minutes. I have no idea why this happens, but it does happen, and it happens regularly enough that if you were to play for an entire hour, there's a very high chance that you'll end up running into this problem at least once, and it's really annoying. For those of us who play the game a bunch, there's a genuine chance that we see these things happen and just accept that we've got to wait for the game to decide that we should fight each other. I've literally become a Strive Park whisperer with the ways that I have to try and get the servers to let me play against some people, and half of the time, that doesn't even work. Speaking of the servers, oh my god. Okay, we all know why I'm making this video right now. Recently, the Guilty Gear Strive servers have been acting up a bunch and have left players in a bunch of really shitty positions. For a personal anecdote, I actually moved recently, and I tried to do a stream on Saturday the 25th of March 2023 against my viewers in the Guilty Gear Strive Park. In an entire hour of streaming, I got 4 matches in against players, and I would only consider one of them actually competitively viable. I literally spent half an hour trying to diagnose the issue that I was facing live on stream because I was not able to connect to anyone in the park and get a match going against anyone. I even tried to create a private room for people to play in, and people were trying to connect, but they were bounced off by the server. It was so bad that I went to play Skullgirls, and I had a great time there. I forgot how fun Skullgirls was, honestly. That bit of the stream was genuinely sick. But I wanted to check how bad it was. Like, maybe it was just a weird glitch of the server bugging out. So, the next day, I queued for a Celestial match. This was on Sunday, the 26th of March, 2023, at about peak time. So, there was a lot of people in Celestial. Here is a time-lapse of me waiting for my queue to pop in a full Celestial lobby. I waited 10 minutes for a Milia match. What the fuck? Now, sometimes when you get to high level in games, you get very long queue times depending on the game that you play. However, normally with games like this, you queue for less time than you actually end up playing for. The set that I played with this Milia took 5 minutes, meaning that I queued twice the length of the actual match. That is bullshit. The best bit about Celestial is that you get to pick your fights, so you can decide to get your ass kicked by one of the best players, or you can choose to skip the match and go for something maybe a little bit more on your level. This doesn't work when you have to wait 10 full fucking minutes for a match. Do you want to fight this Milia? No? Well, shame, you're gonna have to wait another 10 minutes. And when I'm faced with the option, no, I'm just not gonna play, and that's where we find ourselves. I don't want to play Guilty Gear Strive. Okay, so I started writing this, and I actually went back and did another test, and my results were vastly different. Literally the next day, on the 27th of March, on a Monday, I was trying to get more shots of how the lobbies weren't working, and I was able to play an entire hour of Celestial without any problems. I even got to fight multiple people by selecting them specifically, and also queuing from training mode. I lost the first to 10 versus Zin, and it was the hardest that I've lost the first to 10 in a while, but I had no trouble connecting to anyone. I have no idea if this means that they've fixed the server problems or if the game was just lucky, but who knows. Strive servers have come under a lot of flack recently, especially after the Xbox release of the game. While the servers were definitely nowhere near stable before the Xbox release, the game's servers have taken a noticeable dip in quality. Arxis has said that they're looking into the issue and that they're trying to find a way to fix the problem. However, the more time passes, the more that I worry that I won't be able to actually play my favorite fighting game again. It also just doesn't make sense. I get the, console infrastructure and server maintenance is hard, but the crossplay update shouldn't have broken that much stuff, right? So, what happens now? Well, we have to hope that Arxis finds a solution to the problems they're facing soon, because I want to be able to play the game again, man. It seems like the servers are randomly temperamental, but if they're having a fit at peak time, it makes me feel like I don't want to touch the game at all. While the servers have shown that they do want to work sometimes, if this keeps up, myself and others are just going to go on to the next big thing. Guilty Gear Strive is going to have steep competition coming up, so if Arxis wants to make sure that their game keeps the competitive community that it has fostered, they need to fix these problems, and they need to fix them fast. I love Strive. It's my most played fighting game by far, and I would happily put double the amount of time that I've already put into it again and again and again. But if the game keeps forcing me to not play it because of disconnects, unfortunately, I'll have no choice but to move on to something else. And that makes me genuinely upset. That was the closing argument of the script. I hope you enjoyed this video this week. I should be streaming it on Twitch tonight, like I said at the intro. Last time I streamed Strive, we tried to do some viewer matches, but didn't exactly go well. But we'll be trying it again this week, so, hopefully it works. I will say, though, with all this moving and everything that's been going on in my life, I feel like I've forgotten something important. I can't quite put my finger on it, though. Oh yeah! Getting good! That thing that I dedicated months of my life to that has now got a dedicated fan base that keep asking me when the next episode is coming out. Ah shit, I almost forgot about that. I'll get to it eventually. As always, a very special thanks to 64 MHz, Almost Nap Time, Brudikai, Daniel Wiedericht, Dragonprox, Games.png, I Am Naruto, Lady Dantalon, Melodically Me, Monact, Nhoa, Ray W, Super, Falcon, Tom Tanks, William Gagnon, and Zandatsu for being Tier 2 patron supporters.